Hey Josh, it's Kobe. I wanted to show you a couple tips and tricks to hopefully speed up your workflow going from something like this to something like this. All right, let's get started. So first off is bringing a logo in from online. So here I have my Adidas logo, but I have my white background. I can actually just look up a PNG logo without that background, and then I don't have to do any of the work of removing it once I bring it into Photoshop. All I would need to do is copy the image and paste it in, and it already doesn't have that background for me. Big thing though is that when I'm looking up these logos, I want to find ones with the white background here, but in the preview, I have our transparency hashes here. So if I say select one that looks like it has the transparency in the preview and then has it here as well, when I copy and paste it in, it's actually going to keep these transparent layers in the image itself, which kind of sucks. So look for white background and then in the preview, the transparency layers here. But say you find a logo that you really want to use that doesn't have a PNG logo. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it on in. I also need to resize it. It's a bit big. But what happens here is I want to then use this logo, but it still has this white, layer. I want to get rid of it and I don't want to manually select it. So what I recommend is soloing. So Alt and then click the eye tool. So I'm just going to work on this layer. I'm going to select the color range of white. So it could be using highlights, midtones, or shadows, or you could click sample and then choose the color you want to select. In this case, I want to select the white. Going to hit OK. And now I have a selection of the entire white. One thing here is that I still have this edge, and I might want to make this really sharp. So something I could do as well is come into select, modify my selection, and say expand it by a couple pixels, and trim those edges so it's a bit sharper so I don't get any of those blurs. And all I have to do now is delete, Command D to deselect, and now I have a Adidas logo without a background, without having to manually select it. So I want to then put this logo behind these players, make it a little bit smaller. We'll go about here, something like that. All right, so I want to put this layer behind these players, and I'm actually going to do a layer mask for that. So I'm going to select my background, and I want to select my subjects to then mask them from that Adidas logo. So I'm going to let Photoshop run. There we go. And what I want to do now is select our Adidas logo, and what I can do here is create a layer mask to mask this Adidas logo with this selection. But it does the opposite of our intended effect, where it puts the Adidas logo on the players, but I can actually invert the mask so the Adidas logo is not on this selection. So I can say Control I on this masked layer, and just like that, I have it perfectly behind these players. So another cool tool things with this layer is one, I can delink this mask. So say if I select this layer and move it, it moves with the masks, but I can actually deselect this link. And now if I move this main layer, I can move it wherever I want and this mask stays in place. And you can see that as I move it. But one thing, as you can see here, the ball is not in our selection. So when I put it over it, I can't see the ball. So I'm going to show you another thing, which is changing our mask to show things that weren't masked properly the first time. So if I come into this layer, our mask layer, I'll hold Alt and click so you can see this is our mask layer, our black and our white. And the black is our mask and the white is where we're allowed to be without being masked. I just clicked some. There we go. So what I can do here is I can actually paint just with a paintbrush. I can change the mask. So right now I have black selected. So if I come in again, you'll see that this black will then change our selection in our mask. So I'll actually change our hardness. I'll make it a little harder. And I could say just select the ball. I could also get a little bit finer and probably get a little bit smaller, but that was pretty good first shot. So now I have this, I have the ball selected as well, and I can say move this layer back up top. So now I changed my selection and I can move this mask wherever. I'm gonna put it, say right here, and I'm gonna do one more tip just for the fun of it, which is I'm going to add a new layer. I'm just going to paint with this black, and I want to add basically a shadow on this logo in the back so it kind of feels 3D. So I'm going to make this a bit smaller. I'm going to add a black strip right here. I'm simply going to take this layer, add a Gaussian blur. We'll give it 50, seems good. Hit OK. I'm going to add this mask that I have here so it feels more in the background. I'm going to hold Alt and drag. So now it's behind all of these objects as well. And I'm actually going to take this first layer, Control T, hold Shift, and skinny this up. And then put that right about there. Actually, I'll make it a bit thinner too. Right about there. Oh, maybe that's not wide enough. There we go, that feels a bit better. So now it kind of feels that this Adidas logo is almost floating in the background. I mean, not perfect, it's not perfect 3D, but I've added a little bit more depth to the image. So a bunch of fun tips and tricks. Hopefully this speeds up your work. And that's about all from me. All right, bye.